Hi, Assalamualaikum. Good afternoon. Hope everyone is doing okay. Semua sihat, semua dalam keadaan baik ya. Okay, so welcome to Kasih Talk for today ya, pada 28 Mac. Hari ni I'm so honoured to be with you and I will be moderating today's session with the topic of online classes are not curating unique learning experiences with UROX curating unique learning experiences with UROX. Okay, ini tajuk menarik ni ya. Tajuk yang menarik. Kenapa ya? Ni ada opinion opinion. Online classes are not effective in educating students. Betul ke ni? Is it true? Betul ke ni ya? So kita ada jemput dua orang pakar ya dalam online, dalam education, dalam online, dan juga kita ada jemput seorang pelajar Uni Razak ya untuk join our talk today ya. So let me just go through a little bit ya. Selepas kita berada dalam lockdown ni ya, kita semua sedia maklum yang ramai di antara kita semua ni masih lagi ada ya, antara kita termasuklah ibu bapa ya dengan anak-anak ya, yang terpinga-pinga lagi bagaimana nak teruskan aktiviti pengajaran ya dan pembelajaran selepas dah ada kawalan pergerakan yang ketat ya, especially masa tahun lepas ya, March 2020 when all of this pandemic COVID-19 ni suddenly happen ya. So dan tak lama selepas itu online learning pun dah mula bertapak ya. By now saya rasa kita semua dah pandai lah sikit-sikit ya. Kalau tak banyak sikit kita dah pandai ya. So online learning pun dah mula bertapak sehinggalah terlaksananya PDPR ya. So which we have covered ya, which we are going to cover, which we have covered this hot topic in our first episode ya. So there is an issue with digital divide and technology barriers ya, but most of all the lack of willingness and desire to learn ya. Ibu bapa jadi marah kerana mereka kata mereka yang kena jadi cikgu di rumah pula ya, dan cikgu pula tak mengajar tapi hanya WhatsApp homework saja. Ya, bagi yang meneruskan aktiviti pengajaran dan pembelajaran, kebanyakan guru-guru pula berpendapat majority students are simply not motivated in online classes. Walaupun mereka ni semua digitally literate ya, lagi pandai pada cikgu pun ada ya on online, navigating themselves online ya. So many teachers think that conducting live online is the only learning time. Ya, many teachers complain juga that students' learning outcomes tend to be lackluster. Ya, so students simply complete their assignments to receive credit for passing the grade, rather than genuinely engaging with the course material. So, macam mana kita nak betulkan ataupun kita panggil debunk the myth, that online learning is ineffective in providing the right learning experience. So, hari ini kita akan kongsikan bagaimana online learning experience can be curated through the learning tools, terutama bagi mereka yang bekerja, ya, dan menyambung pengajian mereka, ya, seperti mana pelajar-pelajar kita di School of Humanities and Education, kebanyakan student kita adalah adult, ya, adult learners, ya. So, jom bersama saya kita selami topik yang menarik ini. Okey, Assalamualaikum dan selamat sejahtera saya ucapkan kepada semua yang menonton siaran secara langsung untuk episod ketiga Kasih Talk hari ini, ya, pada 28 Mac, ya. So, tajuk kita hari ini, ya, hari ini kita bersiaran dengan tajuk yang dekat di hati, ya. Especially nowadays lah, dah PDPR ni, ya. Baik sebagai pengajar atau juga sebagai pelajar, ya. Tajuk yang menjadi pilihan kita pada hari ini ialah Curating Unique Learning Experience Using UROX. Apakah maksud Unique Learning Experience? Curating, ya. Dan apakah dia UROX? Ya, banyak keyword dia yang menarik ni, ya. So, mari kita rungkaikan bersama 3 panel jemputan kita. So, hari ni kita jemput 3 orang panel. Panel yang pertama, Associate Professor Dr. Zaida Mustafa, Dekan or Dean School of Education and Humanities. Dr. Zaida? Ya, Dr. Zaida. Okay, next kita ada Encik Muzamil Osman Marzuki, Senior Director, Knowledge Management Center, Uni Razak.
Assalamualaikum, Dr. Hamidah.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you for being you're welcome. I'm baik. We are very happy to have you with us, ya. We are all waiting to hear from you, ya. Dan juga
you take my Sunday, so better be good.
InsyaAllah. InsyaAllah. Okay, Mr. Sean, this is our panel kita yang ketiga, pelajar kita, professional, and dia Encik Sean ni professional dan juga student yang enroll in our Master in Early Childhood Education, ya, di Uni Razak. Hi, Encik Sean.
Hi, Dr. Hamidah. Thank you so much for inviting me to this session.
You're most welcome. Okay, we all cannot wait to hear, ya, from you all the 3 panels today. Okay, so sebelum saya mulakan, bagi saya beberapa 1-2 minit untuk just open up, ya, this topic by maybe perhaps just starting with explaining first apa tu curating, ya. Saya rasa mesti ramai yang tertanya-tanya apa maksud curating ni, ya. Okay, sebenarnya bila saya Google, baca-baca sikit, agak menarik. Curating ni sebenarnya ialah satu proses academic skills, ya. Academic skills yang sangat-sangat 21st century. Especially nowadays. Kenapa? Sebab kita ada millions of materials right now at our fingertips, ya. Yang sebabnya kan sekarang yang tadi kita kata students kena belajar sendiri sekarang, parents pun kena coach the students, ya. Coach anak-anak dia untuk jadi guru, ya. Untuk menjadi guru kepada anak-anak, ya. Di samping ataupun bersama dengan guru-guru, ya. More active role, ya. So how do we use these materials? How do we bring them together? Yeah. So these skills now, last time it used to be teachers, most primarily teachers. Tapi sekarang ni students pun kena mula involved in curating, curating the material, So apa maksud curating? Is the process that can be applied in in preparing or synthesizing content. Synthesizing ni maknanya kita cuba ambil maklumat daripada beberapa sources yang berbeza dan cuba dapatkan satu idea yang unified, So a person could curate a collection of articles, images, videos, audio clips atau a mixture of articles that all share some common attribute atau tema, And then what are the skills that they need? They kena organize, kena ada skills of organizing the material into groups, and then dia kena filter and sift. Macam orang kata tapis material ni, and untuk dapatkan highest quality outcome daripada tu, then dia kena masukkan together, put them in their own version dan hasilkan dan share to the world. Itu sebenarnya curating, So this is memang 21st century skill, and it is directly related to PDPR, online learning. Banyak kan? Betul tak kita kena buat perkara ni kan, banyak dalam menyelesaikan semua assignments ataupun tugasan yang diberikan oleh guru dan pensyarah, So kita nak kaitkan curating ni dengan learning experience dan juga UROX. Okay, so saya nak throw the first question, untuk kita fahami dan dalami apa maksud unique learning experience. Saya nak jemput dulu Dr. Zaida, Dekan School of Education and Humanities, Sekolah Pengajian Pendidikan dan Kemanusiaan, Unirazak. Dr. Zaida, untuk memberi definisi dan penjelasan dengan lebih lanjut. For your information, Dr. Zaida merupakan seorang pendidik yang berpengalaman luas, telah berada dalam sektor pendidikan selama 30 tahun, dan pernah berkhidmat di sekolah, perguruan, universiti, Kementerian Pendidikan, semua Dr. Zaida dah ada. So banyak luas pengalaman Dr. Zaida. So Dr. Zaida, saya nak tanya soalan pertama. What is the philosophy of learning that you adopt and adapt in ensuring that your student embrace unique learning experience? Silakan, Doktor.
Terima kasih Assistant Professor Dr. Hamidah. I really like the word learning experience. And when we are talking about learning, we are talking about philosophy. And if you want to have a meaningful education for generations, for students at every level, macam contohnya seperti kata Dr. Hamidah, saya dah menjadi guru selama guru, trainer selama 36 tahun. Apabila saya mengajar anak-anak untuk dia mendapatkan pembelajaran dalam tahun 1990-an, dalam tahun 1980-an, 1990-an dan dalam tahun 2000 dan sehingga kini, selepas 20 tahun, lebih 21 tahun dalam abad ke-21, students are different. The teaching strategies that I use to provide that meaningful learning experience pun berbeza. If you ask me, what does it mean by learning? Dulu-dulu masa saya mengajar, bila bercakap apakah maksudnya pembelajaran? Pembelajaran adalah perubahan tingkah laku, which is not really. Nak sekarang apabila kita dapati pembelajaran tak semestinya melibatkan perubahan tingkah laku. Pembelajaran adalah bagi saya proses yang menitiskan makna ke dalam diri. Dan apabila dia telah mendapati kefahaman itu, menitiskan makna, dan makna-makna ini boleh anak-anak itu terjemahkan di dalam tingkah laku ataupun di dalam perbuatan atau application di tempat kerja. So what philosophy do we have? Guru-guru kalau yang nak dalam ketika ini di mana kita dapati bahawa pembelajaran face to face tidak boleh berlaku seperti sebelum ini. So what philosophy should you embrace as a lecturer, as a teacher, as a parents? Kalau kita katakan learning experience guru, ramai orang melupakan bahawa ibu bapa juga adalah guru pertama dan utama untuk memberi meaningful learning experience. Saya suka nak bercakap anak-anak tentang filosofi ni. Ya, mesti ada filosofi, sama ada kita menggunakan online atau kita menggunakan face to face, ataupun kita seorang guru, ataupun kita seorang pesyarat, kita seorang konsultan, ataupun kita seorang ibu bapa, ya, kita ibu bapa, we have to have this philosophy of teaching. Ya. Bolehlah saya jelaskan sikit apakah maksudnya pendidikan, education. It comes from the Latin word which mean educate. Okay, ya, iaitu to lead out. Kita nak bawa, saya percaya, filosofi kan belief. Saya percaya bahawa siapa sahaja anak di usia mana sekalipun, mereka ada potensi, mereka ada sifat ingin tahu, sebab mereka mempunyai sifat Allah itu adalah alamah, nak tahu, maka mengetahui, maha mengetahui, dan sedikit atribut Allah ini kita ada, ya, dan kita ingin tahu. Dan anak-anak lagi muda dia lebih banyak rasa ingin tahu. Jadi apabila kita terlibat dalam dunia pendidikan ini, itu mesti kita pasakkan betul-betul di hati kita bahawa tujuan pendidikan itu adalah untuk mengeluarkan, to lead out, to bring forth all the potential that is given to them. Itu satu, ya, educate. Yang keduanya, mesti filosofi kita selaras dengan tafsiran tentang pendidikan itu, iaitu filosofi. Philo is love, cinta, bukan kasih-kasih lagi, cinta. Sophia adalah wisdom. Bila kita katakan kita sebagai guru, philosophy of teaching kita mesti mampu untuk melahirkan, untuk menjadikan anak-anak itu cinta kepada kebijaksanaan. Jadi kalau anak ini kita tak nak pandai je, kita tak nak dia dapat A saja, tapi kita nak dia boleh berfikir, menakul, membuat pilihan dan menyelesaikan masalah. Jadi kalau beginilah adanya, macam mana kita guru ataupun kami di School of Education and Humanities perlu memberi pendidikan, perlu curate dia punya learning. Kerana anak-anak yang datang kepada kami, pelajar-pelajar yang datang kepada kami sekarang ini, ya, di School of Education and Humanities, dia punya karakter tak sama dengan anak-anak yang pernah saya ajar dalam tahun 1980-an, 1990-an ataupun awal 2000 dahulu. Okey, setakat itu dulu saja Dr. Hamidah. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Associate Professor Dr. Zaidah. Okay, Doktor, saya rasa macam banyak poin yang menarik yang Doktor highlight. Saya sangat tertarik dengan konsep of meaningful learning, menitiskan makna dalam diri. That is so beautiful, such a beautiful concept. Dan juga how important is parents, ya, as the first teacher, yang that actually imparts this the philosophy, ya. And I think this is a very great concept of how this philosophy of education related to relating knowledge learned, ya, to meaningful existence, ya. So macam wisdom lah, ni wisdom, ya, to imparting wisdom. So kita nak kaitkan sikit dengan what is going on right now, ya, which is the PDPR, online learning, ya. So dengan ini kita menjemput saudara Muzammil. By the way, saya cerita sikit background Encik Muzammil ni. He is our Unirazak Senior Director of Knowledge Management Center, ya, di Unirazak. Beliau berpengalaman luas dalam bidang IT, ya, Information Technology, lebih daripada 20 tahun, terutamanya dalam instructional design, web design, grafik, application design, digital publishing. Oh, memang hebat lah Encik Muzammil punya background ni, ya. Dan memang is the right person that we can call. Kita nak connectkan this philosophy of education and this platform that we have now, this technology platform. Okay, Encik Muzammil, the first question for you that I have for you, students always praise you. Ini betul, Encik Muzammil ni popular di Unirazak, for your effective curriculum delivery. Encik Muzammil also, by the way, is also a lecturer. And if you look at Cik Muzamil punya UROX course card, sangat wow ya. So this student selalu puji cerita dengan saya, dengan semualah ya. So what is your belief about being effective through online teaching? Yeah, and how do you optimize unique learning experience so that it can cater to various learners learning style, you know, in your own course that you teach. Silakan Cik Muzamil.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hamidah, and good afternoon to everybody. Happy Sunday. Okay, so I thought you're not going to mention that I am also a teacher, so I am. Okay, so kemungkinan ada pelajar daripada sini yang mana daripada SAFE pernah tengok saya dalam Tamadun Islam dan Tamadun Asia. It's actually the same person here. So when we talk about unique online learning experience, okay, it's actually quite a big word situ. Okay, macam besar sangat. Dia macam ni lah we are actually disebabkan oleh pandemic ataupun because of the MCO that started like was back in March last year, so dah lebih kurang macam setahun dah sekarang ni kan. So what happened is everybody is actually been pushed into going online. So nak tak nak, we have to follow SOP, tak boleh pergi dekat university, the classes are all going to be on screen, tak ada siapa boleh like sit next to each other and so on. So the best thing to do is actually to go online. So it's already been a unique kind of way. So when we have something like that, that means that we need to find alternative. Macam mana cara untuk nak mengajar dengan cara online ni. Sama ada kita ada kuliah, tutorial, perbincangan, masih lagi boleh digunakan cara macam mana kita buat dekat universiti, masa kita buat conventional classes, ataupun we have to find another alternative to go on and on, alright? Dan dalam masa yang sama, saya is a director, the person who actually manage UROC in the university. It actually take a lot of challenge, but we're not going to talk about that challenge right now, so probably we're going to talk about it later. Tapi what is actually the secrets of having a good course card or good way of like delivering classes or to the student basically online. So it's actually quite a long process. Kalau nak cerita semua sekarang, probably it's going to take like about few hours sampai semua orang dah jadi macam bosan dengan saya kan. But one thing that I found out is actually about number one is creativity education. Itu satu topik yang selalunya orang tak berapa nak buat because selalunya mengajar kadang-kadang it will become a little bit like what you teach in school and stuff, tapi kan kemungkinan dia tak sama macam mana kita nak ajar online and everything. Dia mengingatkan saya kepada satu TV channel, sekarang kita ada Didik TV di mana Didik TV masa mula ke udaranya, kalau tak silap saya pada awal bulan Mac hari tu, ada banyak komen and all that was saying about like how the class delivery looks still like school, tapi kan like macam old school punya style kan. Kalau ada orang percaya atau dengar menggunakan perkataan old school tu, it's actually been such a way where the lecturer is actually teaching and I don't know how people think about it. I thought it was just like very cute of the lecturer or my old teacher before when I was in school kan, keluar kat TV and was like talking in such a way and everything. But at the end of the day, sometimes the delivery of the classes have to be a little bit different. Okay, put it this way, kebanyakan kelas yang mana yang go online, they will all go through what we call as a learning management system. So the learning management system will try to manage the lecturer or the teacher to teach properly. Okay, so bagi saya percaya kepada micromanaging. So micromanaging is something like this. Kita ada the learning outcome for the whole entire course, for example. Katalah macam kelas tu adalah kelas matematik contohnya, okay. Dia ada learning outcome, meaning that you have to like cover up this in within 12 weeks. So if let's say you break it down into each of the week and each of the week tu kita cuba coverkan dia untuk like macam this week I wanted to achieve this one small things. So kita micromanage kan. This one maybe I boleh buatkan dalam bentuk lecture, tapi the most important is you need to have something else that would actually get attention and attract the student. Ini yang kadang-kadangnya yang faktor yang macam kebanyakan guru tak ada. So ini sebenarnya faktor di mana kadang-kadang bila buat kelas online aja, student dia dah tak share dah dia punya kamera, tak tahu sama ada dia ada ke tak kat situ lagi. Alright, lecturer pun tak kisah, dia main cakap aja, like oh I'm actually like touching this and rambling and all that. So tak nampak apa student buat dekat belakang. So at the end of the day, the parents at the back door tell, it's like is it like really working? Is it like really useful when it does something like that? But in the actual fact, kalau you tengok, kalau kat classroom pun sama juga. Kadang-kadang student tu dia boleh pay attention to you, but kadang-kadang dia terkial entah ke laut, dia punya fikiran, dia fikir something else, isn't it? But then again, in order for you to actually get like the real attention from the student is actually to interact. And there are several ways of you to do interaction online. You will find it's actually very interesting because sebelum daripada pandemic ni, I can bet no one actually, or maybe very less people wanted to go and venture into doing, you know, like interactivity online and stuff like that. Words, for example, macam Kahoot, macam apa ni, macam Dr. Zaida selalu guna Padlet, Padlet. Lepas tu ada lain lah macam word wall, quizzes and everything. Suddenly this thing like macam blooming like crazy, you know, because everybody wanted to do it because I wanted to get this thing to be like more interesting, how to interact with the student, make the student talks and all that. So honestly, if you ask me, or the conclusion, it take actually another ball game, you know, like another way of like methods of approaching to the students in order, you know, like to get actually their attention for your class and all that. So coming back to the curating of the class, that is actually another terms that kalau dekat dalam my department, we call it as instructional design lah. Maksudnya cara macam mana arahan tu diberikan kepada pelajar, how the instruction in the classes and everything has been designed so that it would actually try to bring the most effectiveness that we can get from my class. So Dr. Zaida selalu tanya saya, macam mana you punya kelas selalunya orang ataupun student selalu macam pay really like attentions and everything. Sometimes they are like small thing about, you know, like nature, for example, like I teach about tamadun Islam lah sebagai contoh ni, you know, like ni bukan bagi lecture tau. So I'm just telling you, just nak bagi example, alright? So dalam tamadun Islam tu atau tamadun Asia tu, you know, like about keadaan kita sendiri. So instead of I'm explaining about theory or I'm explaining about this and that, so why don't the student can just like, you know, maybe use their mobile phone, for example. Kan student tak boleh lekang mobile phone kan, ambil gambar, take the picture where you are, explain about that things, you know, like do a little bit of observations and all that, among of the single things that I do in micromanaging for my classes. So I hope that this can be, you know, like used for all the lecturers ataupun bakal academician yang mana ada audience sekarang ni, in order for you to boost up ataupun to create the interest of your student in terms of you know, like your own learning style in your own course. Yeah, I think back to you, Dr. Hamidah.
Thank you, Encik Muzamil. Sangat menarik itu. And it's so true. I totally agree with you. I think PDPR ni, online classes ni has actually pushed us to go outside of our comfort zone, from the typical or normal conventional way dalam classroom, So betul lah, and thank you Encik Muzamil for sharing your secret, and your tips and thoughts on having effective and interesting classroom, macam micromanaging tu very interesting, So I rasa summary dia, kita sebagai guru, kita kena or pendidik, we have to be creative lah in our planning, in teaching and learning material. Tak boleh dah just relying on the traditional way, Okay, now sekarang ni kita nak pergi tanya dengan witness dia, witness dia, saksi, ni pelajar dia, kita ada pelajar kita, Mr. Sean, who is the real witness to testify on this. Welcome Mr. Sean to Kasih Talk. So Mr. Sean, you are a professional by day and also pursuing master's degree in early childhood education. Can you share a bit about yourself and how do you find the learning experience in Uni Razak? Silakan.
Alright, thank you Dr. Hamidah. Okay, by the way, just a brief info about me. My name is Muhammad Syawani bin Ahmad Sabri and people call me Mr. Sean. Okay, not really a professional. I define myself as an early childhood practitioner because before this, before I started my journey as a lecturer, saya bermula dengan seorang cikgu tadika and cikgu taska. And bila I got invited by this session, I teringat one proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. Okay, kita memerlukan satu kampung untuk nak membesarkan seorang kanak-kanak. And why I choose to study in Uni Razak, bila berlakunya pandemic, okay, last year, I enroll last year masa tu tengah PKP. So why I choose to study in Unirazak tu adalah disebabkan dia ada this kind of apps sebenarnya. And sebab kita tahu kan bila pandemik berlaku, kita tak tahu apa daripada segi proses pembelajaran, because learning is a process, and then as a working adult kita memang tak ada banyak masa. And UROX helped me a lot in terms of my study plan, in terms of my notes, in terms of my lecture, dan how we communicate in terms of our study, our learning process. So I found that learning experience in Unirazak is something that beyond my expectation, because masa tu pandemic, so kita pun tak expect yang sebenarnya we have to go on Google Meet. Kita ingatkan macam Google Meet biasa kan, masa tu kalau di peringkat prasekolah ataupun di sekolah-sekolah, masing-masing cikgu-cikgu masih lagi dalam proses of exploring untuk menggunakan Google Meet, untuk menggunakan Zoom dan sebagainya. But Unirazak dah sediakan satu platform yang saya boleh katakan complete untuk support our study. And bila I start my journey in Unirazak tu, saya rasa it changed my perception. It is a collaborative work. Selama ni saya ingat macam learning process is just you sit in the class, listen to the lecture, but it goes beyond. It is a collaborative work. Dia dah change daripada traditional ways, macam kita selalu fikir bila kita belajar, we have to sit for final exam, we have to settle our assignment. It's not just like that. Sebab UROX tu is a medium of discussion sebenarnya. It's not just kita refer kepada notes yang given by our lecturer, it's not just to upload kita punya assignment, but it is a discussion punya profile ataupun portfolio ataupun apps yang kita boleh panggil kat situ. So for me, it is a good start and a wonderful journey for me in Unirazak, and I define my learning experience in Unirazak is something yang goes beyond my expectation. Dr. Hamidah, mungkin as a starting.
Okay, terima kasih Mr. Sean. Actually, we are so pleased to hear and very glad to hear that you have had such a positive learning experience in Unirazak, and we hope that that it will get better, inshallah, for you and for all our students in Unirazak. And also I like the way that the term that you use, collaborative work ni. This is I think the essence of the new style or the new approach into education nowadays. So we are moving away, for real, we are moving away from teacher-centered education, teacher-centered learning to student-centered learning. So now when as teachers, when we have to design material, kita dah kena tengok how this is going to benefit and how the students, giving emphasis on students learning outcome, apa yang dia akan dapat daripada sini. So a lot of thoughts are given into designing the material, in choosing the right platform and medium, and also what is the students' output. Students' output is part of so students are not just seen as the receiver only. Now the students are also seen as the one that creates output, that participates in the learning itself. So I think this is one of the things that we can already see from our discussion so far, that it is really shifting from cara yang traditional, to cara considering the digital platform that we have right now, into moving into the new style, new platform, that is technology based. So saya nak masuk ke round kedua, soalan round kedua. So saya start dulu dengan Dr. Zaida. Dr. Zaida, how do you as a dean ensure that the instructional design for your program offered in your faculty is catered to ensure unique learning experience is fully attained in your school? Silakan, Doktor.
Terima kasih Assistant Professor Dr. Hamidah ya. I like the word that you give me, instructional. Ya, instruction dia bukan teaching, dia bukan learning. Ya, dia adalah teaching, learning and assessing student for learning, as learning and of learning. Jadi apabila kita bercakap tentang my instructional design, I really have to design that instruction, that the teaching experience, that the teaching and the learning experience for the students to really cater who are the students in front of me. Who are the students who are the customer in our schools. Mereka ini dia dah tak seperti, they are not traditional student yang lepasan sekolah ya dengan karakteristik sebagai traditional student. Most of the learners in our faculty, in our school are non-traditional student ya, yang dah bekerja, dan bukan saja dah bekerja tetapi juga mereka telah lama meninggalkan sekolah, dan kita ada beberapa orang yang dah meninggalkan sekolah 10 tahun, 15 tahun, but still the school give them the opportunity to improve or to elevate their professional knowledge, professional skills. And most important is the professional attributes, the soft skill, the employability competency. Itu bukan senang, ya, tanggungjawabnya sangat besar. Saya memandang diri saya sebagai dekan dan saya memandang pensyarah-pensyarah lain, ya, dan saya dapati bahawa role, function and responsibility of the faculty members of the school staff must shift. Itu yang pertama, mesti bertukar. Ya, our roles is not the dispenser of knowledge. Itu dah lama dah, kita sepatutnya tidak lagi. Kita nakkan bukan saja kita ni adalah pemberi maklumat, tetapi kita adalah pencetus ilmu. Ada bezanya. Ya, kadang-kadang apa yang kita beri di dalam kelas itu belum lagi menjadi ilmu. Dia akan menjadi ilmu jika maklumat itu menitiskan makna ke dalam diri. Mereka sendiri yang mencari kefahaman itu. Jadi macam mana kita curatekan kita punya instructional design ni, reka bentuk pembelajaran kita adalah dengan strategi, dengan approach, dengan assessment yang menjadikan pelajar-pelajar itu bertanggungjawab ke atas pembelajaran dia sendiri. Contohnya ya, saya ambil Muhammad Syawani, ya, kata orang lovingly known as Sean. Di dalam bilik darjah, Sean bukan pelajar saya. Sean adalah partner, my learning partner. Itu yang saya katakan role berubah. Kerana yang datang di depan kita di School of Education tu adalah pelajar-pelajar yang datang dengan pengalaman. Ya, mereka non-traditional tadi, one of the characteristic is mereka datang dengan pengalaman yang unik, yang saya sendiri kadang-kadang tak ada pengalaman itu. Jadi mereka datang, bila begitu dia punya attributes, maka saya tak boleh gunakan pedagogi. Saya mesti menggunakan andragogi, di mana kita bentangkan, kita minta anak-anak tu, pelajar-pelajar tu membentangkan pengalamannya di atas meja, dan we are together, ya, untuk kita chew, digest all the information, all the maklumat, dan kita akan olah, kita akan bincang, kita akan debatkan, kita akan testify, kita akan challenge sehingga semua informasi itu menjadi ilmu, menitiskan makna itu tadi supaya mereka boleh apply. Jadi kalau saya bercakap pula tentang assessment, itu pengajaran, ya. Sebab apabila kita dapati kita nak mengajar, kita nak memastikan anak-anak itu mendapat the intended learning outcome tu, mereka tak sama. Kalau dalam face to face, kita selalu bercakap tentang learning style, visual, auditory and kinesthetic, but that kind of learning style is not really matter, ya, in online learning. Not really, walaupun kita masih lagi memakmurkan anak-anak ataupun pelajar-pelajar yang visual learning, ya, dengan presentation kita yang bagus, dan kita masih lagi mahukan anak-anak kita yang extrovert, umpamanya ada learning with peers, dengan kita ada breakout rooms umpamanya. Tetapi lebih daripada itu, we have to really think about their cognitive learning style. Sebab orang dewasa, confidence level is tinggi, self-esteem is tinggi. Maka kita kena really cater for their cognitive learning style. Some of them are wholly verbalizer. Dia memang kalau nak bercakap, saya ada seorang pelajar master saya, dia kata, Dr. Zaidah, boleh tak saya punya assignment atau saya punya assessment is verbal based, is tak nak tulis-tulis ni, because bila saya tulis saya punya idea tu banyak tak terkeluar, but verbal based. Saya kata boleh, dan saya siapkan rakaman cantik-cantik, dan seminggu sebelum kelas saya akan memberi soalan. Contohnya saya mengajar psikologi, so kita nak tengok western and eastern view about student learning. Saya kata, can you attest the validity of behaviorism as the best theory for children's learning? Can you give me another rujukan, reference that attest that? So dia pun mencarilah dalam masa 1 minggu. So apabila sampai masanya, saya akan mengajar dia tentang behaviorism, theory about student learning. Kemudian dia dah siap dah, dia dah baca, dia baca Al-Quran, dia baca Sunnah, dia baca research. Apabila sampai, dia bercakap, dia berkata, the first question, the first ayat yang datang pada saya ialah, Dr. Zaidah, I don't agree with behaviorist theory. Sebab dia mengongkong, dia tidak endorse kita sebagai manusia yang punya pilihan. Wow, bila saya dengar itu anak-anak, what else do you expect from adult learners who come to your class with that kind of information and experience? Jadi itu yang pertama. Yang kedua adalah holistic imager. Cognitive style dia adalah dia nak tengok. If I'm talking about behaviorist, if I'm talking about Pavlov, if I'm talking about dogs, dia nak tengok ada tak yang lain. Ada tak eksperimen yang lain yang menunjukkan apabila kita, so saya pun terpaksa mencari. Saya kata, you cari satu, saya cari satu. Bagaimana contohnya kita boleh train anjing untuk bersalaman. So dia kata, dan kita berbincang. Perbincangan itulah yang mesti saya rakamkan, dan jika perbincangan itu sampai to the level of analytical, you should give them marks. So when I'm talking about instructional design, nowadays it must goes beyond paper and pencil assessment. Kemudian ada juga pelajar-pelajar yang saya tengok datang dalam kelas saya, dia ada style ini, cognitive style ini, analytic verbalizer. Dia sangat bila dia mengutarakan dia punya pendapat itu, mereka sangat analytical. Dan ada juga yang tadi dia whole, dia holist. Dan lagi satu, dia juga adalah analytical imager. Maknanya apabila dia memandang sesuatu, kita pandang apple ataupun kita pandang air yang diisi dalam gelas separuh, ada kalau holist imager akan berkata, oh itu adalah gambar gelas yang separuh air. Tetapi analytical imager akan berkata dia adalah they can give you 2 or 3 interpretation of that air di dalam gelas yang separuh itu. Okay, so that is what I mean by the new design of instruction that my school of education have to really apply to the students who are mainly working adults. Okay. So if I can iterate, ada 3. Yang pertama, my content. My content should be what is mesti setuju what you want to learn. Itu sebabnya apabila habis saja satu pelajaran, kita akan menggunakan teknik soalan di akhirnya sebagai participation. What you already know. What have you learned? What else you want to know? So what else you want to know itulah yang kita akan kutip untuk preparation for the next lesson. What you already know tu saya akan gunakan kalau dia dah tahu pasal tajuk yang akan saya ajar minggu depan. Saya tak perlulah memanjang-manjangkan, elaborate on that tajuk. Dan saya selalu kata, what do you think about? Apabila saya dapat saja yang itu, maka itu adalah kita punya the factor ataupun the best part that we are going to discuss next class. Okay, back to you, Dr. Hamidah.
Thank you, Dr. Zaida. Wow, Dr. Zaida. That is so enlightening. Betul, Dr. Zaida. You are so right. Saya ada students yang tanya dengan saya, Miss, saya tak nak hantar saya punya assignment. Baru 2 days ago, saya after I assign the student told me, Miss, saya tak nak hantar dalam PowerPoint. Can I do a video? I want to do a video to present my findings, kan? Dia tak nak just use slide. So I'm like, oh, I'm so happy to hear that the student is actually taking initiative and being so excited to come up with their own version of, submitting the assignment. Yeah, so this is like another thing Dr. Zaida mentioned about, catering to students with different personalities, different styles, different cognitive tendencies. Okay, so I nak kaitkan benda ni dengan UROX kita di Uni Razak, Cik Muzammil. How do you think, and how can you define the digital ecosystem ni of UROX in supporting the learning experience design in Uni Razak right now? And how does UROX helps in terms of this, creative instructional design and in optimizing learner experience, considering, all these factors of different ways of thinking, different styles, so many experiences and different backgrounds. Silakan, Cik Muzammil.
Slowly lah. Okay, but anyway, I wanted to respond to Dr. Zaida tadi. So assignment, verbal based assignment, boleh, the answer to your question is UROC boleh buat. Okay, so that means that if let's say your student, kalau dia kata dia nak buat verbal based, kalau dia nak record right the way to UROC pun boleh. So that is actually as easy as possible. Tak semua assignment tu perlu menulis. Sebab kalau menulis tu, if let's say the assignment punya nature is actually you have to write lah, we need to see your grammar and everything, so it's fine. But sometimes we can also use our own creativity. Saya punya tita, saya suruh student saya buat video and they love to do that. My defense is like this: if they know how to do TikTok, if they know how to do Facebook and all that sort of video and nonsense with the Insta story and stuff like that, that means that they are all ready to do their own assignment in video forms. Okay, dan sama juga macam web. If let's say if possible, you can do web pages, then you do that, because in the way saya cuba nak bagi student saya ni ada or to increase their digital literacy, maksudnya celik mereka kepada digital life like these days. Sebab kan kita ada macam-macam, ada laptop, ada mobile phone, ada iPad, ada tablet dan segala bagai kan, technology with that sort of apps, with the socializing apps and stuff like that. So kalau boleh kita pakai, tapi the best is untuk pakai for the education, meaning that the student can actually reuse that thing back again in their life in a good way, bukannya like being a keyboard warrior and do something bad at the back there. Okay, so to answer back to the question, UROC is actually considered to be a learning management system. Maksudnya dia adalah sistem pengurusan untuk pendidikan. So that means that in order for you to have a system, whoever that is already designed the LMS engine yang kita pakai pada UROC ni, they have already gone through lah into what sort of like pedagogy approaches and how does this supposed to solve the problem from the conventional teaching and so on. So at the end of the day, it solve the problem. So katalah macam ni assignment, macam kita kata tadi, assignment menulis, tapi bagaimanakah LMS ataupun UROC bantu supaya student boleh hantar assignment dengan pelbagai cara. So dia buatkanlah, okay, katalah boleh hantar verbal based, boleh hantar video based, boleh hantar by writing, boleh hantar upload. Lepas tu kalau upload tu sebab benda ni digital kan, student have a tendency to copy from Google here and there, so lepas tu dia letakkan plagiarism with the Turnitin and everything. So pendek kata, it actually a solutions that solve all the problem that people have already experience, ataupun the academician ataupun lecturer ataupun teacher that have experience in the way of doing your own work. Okay, for example myself, macam mana saya nak bagi PowerPoint saya pada student? I remember those days, masa saya dah mengajar dah 20 tahun dah ni. So I remember when those days I nak bagi note pada student, kita tak ada emails and everything, student kemungkinan ada, kemungkinan tak ada kan. So what happen is I print out. So paper bagi dekat student lebih kurang 10 macam tu, 10 line. Alright, kalau ada 20 student dah dekat 200 dah. So this is actually the way. Bacanya tak tentu lagi kan, because kemungkinan dia ambil benda tu campak somewhere, kena air basah ke reput ke. So at the end of the day, it actually solve the problem. So you wanted to give out notes to the student, letak dekat dalam tu, and then the student can actually go and get it. And other than that, it's like this lah, okay. Contohnya macam student sekarang ni belajar by the webinar. So ada webinar macam ni, ada somebody come and talk to you and stuff like that. You know, like it actually feel more personal, and it feels like I can see Dr. Zaidah, you know, like personally, and boleh tatap muka dia lama-lama macam tu kan. You know, like that I could not do in my class, for example. Kau tak nampak macam weird a little bit. So this is one of the way that, you know, like it actually helps. So it boils down to one word. When I receive UROC in the very beginning, masa mula-mula sekali masuk, it actually go blank. Tak ada apa-apa sebenarnya. Dia cuma ada like macam this is the control to do this is where you locate and put there, assignment kena letak dekat sini, grading is here, attendance is there. Lepas tu macam nak chat boleh gunakan chat kalau student ada, okay. Syllabus pun kosong, you know, like, but lecturer masukkan ke dalam UROC, dia mewarnakan UROC creatively the way of how they want. The better you do it, the better the student will see and enjoy that. That is actually one of the things where we actually talk or terms about instructional design and optimizing into the learner experience. At the end of the day, it actually comes back to the technology is there and it's always there, okay? And in fact, the technology has already been advanced for so long sebab kita kadang-kadang tak perasan kan, because kadang-kadang teknologi ni is actually been a little bit too fast in front. Kadang-kadang saya ni ada teknologi education yang saya tak tercapai tangan. Student kadang-kadang beritahu saya, alah sir, boleh je, you pakai je ini app ni, app tu, app ni. Saya pun belajar daripada student kadang-kadang. You know what I mean? I think this is something that is quite common lah. But for the academician, kepada cikgu-cikgu yang ada sini, okay, this is actually where the creativity, it always come back to you the way of how you wanted to do it. Instructional design ni kan is not really a very popular words like I think 5 years ago. Tapi sejak kebelakangan ni kan, and especially the last 1 year, instructional design is like really something yang hot, okay, yang popular. Lecturer, teacher pun kena jadi instructional designer because you need to design your instruction to the student and to give, you know, like a good notch to it, like, you know, give a good digitalized the way of how you wanted to do. I tak tahulah, okay, tapi this is actually how we do it. So kalau I nak cerita macam mana I create ataupun define this digital ecosystem ni, it's a little bit long to actually explain the whole entire thing. But I can tell you one thing, what we did here in UniRaza with UROC is actually the right thing, okay. Coming back to macam Dr. Hamidah cakap sebelum ni, ada student datang komplain, kata, you know, like online learning ni is not really working and stuff like that. Betul kan Dr. Hamidah kan? You know, like, is it true betul it's not working and all that, alright? At some point memang betul, tapi the reason is because sebelum daripada 1 tahun kita pandemic ni, nobody is actually ready. Nobody is prepared for it. Nobody can see what actually happen in the future. This is what we are going to do, and it goes like really fast. Kan, betul tak? You know, like, so at the end of the day, you can blame, but the thing is it actually came back to us. Sebab kenapa kita tak prepare benda tu awal-awal? Sebab kita terlampau yakin and also being too much into our conventional teaching. Balik-balik student kena datang kelas, ambil attendance, kalau tak datang siap engkau. You know, like that sort of thing kan. Tiba-tiba sekarang ni suddenly it's just like over 1 week, everything semua kena ada online. So you tak boleh kata lah online is not working for, you know, it's supposed to work. But the thing is, it come back to us whether we are ready for that or not. Okay, dan sekarang ni disebabkan oleh pandemik kan, ready or not, here we come, you know, like, so terpaksa kata kita ready lah. But Alhamdulillah, like I'm actually quite, you know, like Sean, later on we talk, you were telling about good things about apa ni, UROC. I would really wanted to know more about you actually, like sharing the experience lah. But we try to actually offer to the student the best. And like macam Dr. Zaidah kata, instructional design is actually what we are doing lah in order for us to create the ecosystem for the learning environment especially in UniRaza. Yeah, okay. So back to you, Dr. Hamidah.
Thank you so much, Cik Muzammil. It's so true, betul. Apa yang I nampak daripada what you have just said kan, Cik Muzammil, it's not just about the lecturer being creative. in designing. Betul, lecturer pun sekarang have to go beyond their comfort zone, kena start jadi instructional designer. But at the same time, I also notice another thing. The role of the student has now not just duduk kat situ passively. Sekarang diorang have to actively take part in and apa orang kata, be responsible in their own learning. Kita panggil self-regulated learning, ya. So having said that, Mr. Sean, as a working adult doing postgraduate study, can you share with us how do you make the most from your learning experience and how UROX has helped you in your towards your advantage lah, how do you curate your own unique learning experience as a postgraduate student having these UROX as your LMS, if you can share that with us. I tahu Encik Muzamin excited ni nak dengar what you've got to say. Silakan Mr. Sean.
To add I just want to start to answer this question with the term of revisiting my learning and practice. Saya suka untuk gunakan perkataan revisit my learning and practice because before this mungkin as a student and as an adult kita masih lagi terikat dengan traditional ways of thought, and then bila berlakunya pandemic, it changed our perception and juga our perspective towards learning and approach pendekatan yang kita akan gunakan. Alright, so bila saya start my journey in Unirazak, so this is the time yang saya rasa saya revisit balik my learning process and practice. So as a learner, saya rasakan apa yang saya revisit on my learning and practice adalah it is a collaborative work. Seperti yang saya sebutkan pada awal tadi, it is a collaborative work. Kita memerlukan kerjasama antara semua, because before this we just wait our lecturer to give instruction and then kita buat assignment tersebut without ada any discussion and whatnot. Lepas tu kita just tunggu exam punya result sahaja. Tapi bila berlaku pandemik, dia dah tak boleh ada one way punya instruction base sahaja. And UROX provide us benda-benda yang sebenarnya memerlukan kita as a student untuk explore. Contoh macam Mr. Muzamil cakap tadi, kita kena buat video. It is about upskilling and reskilling our style of learning. Mungkin sebelum ni kita tak ada skill tersebut and we have to upskill ourselves, and mungkin sebelum ni kita dah ada that kind of skill and we have to reskilling ourselves. So ini adalah proses-proses yang berlaku bila kita terlibat dengan online learning ataupun e-learning. Sebenarnya curating learning experience is not just a new term sebenarnya, kalau kita boleh katakan, sebab kalau kita tengok traditionally cikgu-cikgu kita untuk make sure pelajar tu faham, kalau kita di Taska ataupun di Tadika, kita akan buat contohnya kita akan buat kostum, kita akan buat learning materials. It is a part of curating learning experience for our children. So sama juga bila berlakunya pandemic, it's curate our learning experience as a teacher, as a students untuk go beyond. Macam saya suka bila Dr. Zaidah sebut pasal it is not about the pedagogy anymore, it is about the andragogy. So these kind of things adalah the term yang, ataupun kita boleh katakan satu pendekatan baru yang pelajar sendiri secara tidak langsung akan explore, and dia secara tidak langsung dah develop and enhance our skill and our understanding towards learning, because before this we just wait for the question and answer, and now we involve in that particular session of learning. So the practice is there. Saya nampak active learning tu bukan saja berlaku bila kita menunggu arahan daripada our lecturer, but we are exploring our learning process. So as a practitioner, bila saya sebagai seorang practitioner dalam bidang pendidikan awal kanak-kanak, saya nampak it is a new method ataupun it is a new pendekatan yang boleh kita develop. Okay, bila saya join Uni Razak, barulah saya nampak sikit yang sebenarnya bila you secara indirectly you terpaksa untuk buat e-learning, we talk about e-learning, we talk about macam mana cikgu nak make sure pelajar ataupun anak-anak kecil ni boleh participate in dia learning, dia punya online learning. Okay, kalau kita tengok balik bagaimana apps tersebut di-develop, alright, contohnya macam previously masa zaman kita kecil-kecil mungkin kita tak terikat dengan gadget, tapi bagaimana kanak-kanak sekarang process of learning dia tu create by the gadget. So how we are going to help them in terms of delivering the message to the children by using this kind of method. So itu antara yang saya dapat bila saya saya join ataupun I have a discussion with the group members dekat dalam kelas, and then sebab dekat dalam kelas master kita di Uni Razak ni dia macam berbeza sikit, because before this I have experience in other institution, tapi bila saya join di Uni Razak, it is more on macam focus group discussion. So it is a focus, we focus on the certain topics, and then kita dapat the objective of learning tu akan tercapai bila kita ada group discussion, kita ada sharing our, orang kata apa, bila kita explore, kita search for it, for the info dan sebagainya, and daripada situ kita secara tidak langsung pembelajaran itu berlaku. Dia tidak terikat kepada instruction sahaja, tapi dia tidak terikat kepada menunggu soalan-soalan sahaja, tapi dia lebih meluas. And saya rasa untuk this session saya nak end dengan dengan one words adalah saya ada terbaca tadi, ada one quote ni, we shape our building and afterwards our building shape us. So sebenarnya kita yang design our learning experience. So apa yang kita nak, apa yang terbaik tu, and towards the end the apps tu yang contohnya macam Urox, dia yang membentuk kita menjadi seorang practitioner yang bagaimana, learners yang bagaimana, and professional yang bagaimana. It's helped me a lot sebenarnya. And bila on professional part adalah ini adalah benda-benda yang saya gunakan kembali untuk mendidik pelajar-pelajar saya pula, pelajar-pelajar yang adult sikit, pelajar-pelajar yang remaja yang belia, yang baru-baru nak masuk ke process of learning. So it is a collaborative work. It is always a collaborative work. So we shape our buildings and afterwards our building shape us. Right, Dr. Hamidah, is it okay?
Wow, that is such a brilliant answer. And I tell you, it's a very nice macam orang kata full circle lah to our discussion, sebab you know, I really love the word this term that you use, upskilling and reskilling. Ya, betul tak Dr. Zaidah? Such a interesting way of looking at this whole and saya rasa sangat relevant dengan the concept of curation, which is where you need to really, you know, take what you get and then come up with your own version. And in this process ni, in this process ni, you can you know, build your skills, you know, build and expand your skills, yeah. So, and also this is really nicely concluding this concept of students taking responsibility of their learning, you know, self-regulated learning, where the students actively take part in shaping their own learning, yeah. So so dah ada clue lah kita nak sampai di penghujung rancangan. So your advice, saya nak minta advice and tips ya daripada panel-panel kita. Your advice and tips for the audience ya, Dr. Zaidah, Encik Muzammil dan Mr. Sean. I think you can take your turns nanti ya. You know, for those who are still wondering on how to curate their learning experience in the new norm. Mungkin kita mulakan dengan Dr. Zaidah dulu. Silakan Doktor.
Terima kasih Dr. Hamidah ya. Apabila saya mendengar kata Sean ya, pelajar dan saya mengajar Dr. Sean satu semester dan betul kita ada seorang pensyarah yang sangat pakar tentang andragogy ni ya, Puanku Faridah ya, fondly known as Madam Kufa. Dia apabila mengajar di dalam bilik darjah yang kebanyakan je pelajar-pelajar dewasa, dia sangat menggunakan andragogy. Saya teringat minggu lepas apabila Ku Faridah berkata, bagaimanakah you all nak belajar tentang brokering teknologi in education? Kan betul tak Sean? Ya, macam mana nak buatkan to be innovative in your practice. Jadi saya teringat Sean yang memberi jawapan. It is not, apabila Sean nak belajar tentang sesuatu yang baru, dia tak ada nak minta daripada pensyarah sahaja. Dia kata, how about I make engagement outside? Ya, sebab kebetulan definitely our adult learners they have community out there, they are professional learning community as well. So Sean mencadangkan industry in the classroom dan saya menunggu ya dengan tak sabarnya macam mana seminar yang akan dilakukan oleh grup Sean untuk belajar tentang innovation and technology in early childhood education. Ya, bravo. So I always applaud this. Sebab kalau di School of Education and Humanities, kita ada program daripada diploma sampai ke PhD. Alhamdulillah ya. Kita ada diploma in early childhood, bachelor in education dengan 6 specialization. Kita ada bachelor in early childhood education which the content of that program very much given by the industry. So sebab kita nak jadikan program tu industry relevant. Kemudian kita ada Bachelor of English ya, nak menjadikan mereka itu real competence and proficient di dalam bahasa Inggeris ya. Kemudian kita ada program Master of Education which is after lama sangat saya dalam bidang more than 15 years dalam teacher training ya, teacher education, and this is the best program that I have developed. Ya, banyak program yang kita dah develop alhamdulillah, but this is the best program, Master of Education saya ya. Dan kita ada juga Master in Early Childhood, Master in TESOL dan akhirnya kita ada PhD ya, Doctoral Degree in Education. Penonton sekalian, I have to tell you this. Ya, saya mula mengajar ketika zaman overhead projector. Mana ada Xerox, mana ada online, mana ada Google Meet ya. Dan saya dapati my teacher leadership all those years have been uplifted, elevated for the past 2 years oleh anak-anak muda ini, terutama sekali oleh Encik Muzammil. How I become technologically literate dan sangat mesra alam dengan teknologi-teknologi ini. Dan saya dapati bahawa kalau saya tak lakukan ini, tak learn and relearn and unlearn, saya akan ketinggalan. Kerana apa? Kerana pelajar-pelajar yang ketika ini mereka sangatlah pantasnya ya, sangat digital literate. Dan satu kebaikan yang saya nampak ya, berbeza dengan pengalaman saya dari dalam tahun 30 tahun yang lepas berbanding dengan 2 tahun kebelakangan ini, I am become more effective as a instructional coach, more effective as supervisor, more effective as lecturer, yeah, and more effective as more effective as a partner in the learning process. Saya dapati, saya ambil yang paling sukar sekali untuk di engage untuk saya engage, iaitu dengan pelajar-pelajar PhD. Kalau dulu saya buat PhD selama 7 tahun, punyalah sukarnya untuk mendapatkan bimbingan daripada pensyarah. Tetapi dengan online learning, saya ada supervision tiap minggu dengan pelajar saya. Every week. The process is very sangat senang ya. Pukul 7 pagi pelajar PhD saya, I can say the name ya, terutama sekali Datuk Amacik ya, tiap minggu, dan mereka dapat menyiapkan dengan seminggu sekali perjumpaan ni mengikut giliran, ya, saya ada lebih kurang 6 orang pelajar PhD dan beberapa orang pelajar master, dan mereka dapat menyiapkan proposal PhD mereka less than 2 semesters. Itulah yang kita katakan belajar melalui online ni. How I design their learning, how I design their learning experience to be fulfilling, engaging dan ada momentum. Yang penting menjaga momentum itu. Apabila anak yang baru masuk, umpamanya pelajar baru yang daripada sekolah, ya, terkial-kial dan terkejut kena belajar menggunakan online, link Google tak tahu, nak masuk Urox pun tak tahu. That is the role. Your role at that time is not as a lecturer, it's not as a dean, but as a partner of learning. So kita dah mula desainkan dah. Kita dah tahu dah anak-anak ini daripada sekolah yang kebanyakannya mereka sangat bergantung lagi kepada orang lain kerana hasil didikan kat sekolah yang semua dibagi itu, ya. Mereka belum lagi menjadi pelajar yang ada self-directed, ya, ataupun they are not self-directed learners, sehingga kita mesti menjadikan mereka seorang yang percaya diri. Mereka boleh buat, dan kebanyakan anak-anak sekarang, pelajar-pelajar sekarang, ya, yang berusia 19, 20, 21 sampai yang 25 yang datang kepada kita tu adalah pelajar-pelajar yang belum ada keyakinan diri untuk belajar, untuk menjadi self-regulatory learners. Jadi apa tugas kita? Ya, tugas kita menjadi mudah dengan adanya pembelajaran yang menggunakan Urox ini, ya. Saya boleh berjumpa dengan mereka hampir tiap-tiap malam untuk mengetahui masalah mereka untuk 2 minggu yang pertama ini. Jadi saya boleh simpulkan begini saja, Dr. Hamidah, ya. Sebab saya ni datang daripada, kami semua ni datang, ya, dalam sesi ni daripada pendidikan. Number one, you have to remember, education is about providing care and love. Love and care is the prerequisite of learning. Kalau kita nak anak itu berjaya, kita mesti memberikan itu, ya, the care and the love about their learning, sehingga mereka seperti yang dikatakan oleh ahli falsafah, ya, William Butler Yeats, education is not the filling of a pail but the lightning of a fire. Dengan keadaan kita tak berjumpa secara bersemuka ni, how you are going to design their learning supaya dia rasa inspired to learn and to learn more. Jadi the task is not easy, tetapi kami di School of Education and Humanities, all of us, ya, we are not only kita tidak memberi pendidikan saja, ya, we are not selling education product, we are selling relationship, we are extending that love and care. Jadi saya rasa kalau kita panggil pelajar pun they have it, ya, dia boleh rasa itu. Dan sebab aim of education kita, the aim of education that embraced by all lecturers in SAY is to provide employability competency, and it is not only that, with inner drive. The students, they themselves want to be the best, to bring the best out of them. Mereka sendiri yang nak create their own learning, create their own destiny. Sampai macam tu yang kita nak anak-anak kita ataupun pelajar-pelajar kita embrace, ya. Itu sebabnya program kita bukan saja program yang bersifat akli, ya, bersifat akal, tetapi juga kita ada program bersifat nakli. Program bersifat nakli atau spiritual kita masukkan dalam semua program education kita. Sebab iaitu spirituality in education, moral values di dalam early childhood education. Because bila anak-anak ini, pelajar kami keluar daripada School of Education and Humanities, inspirasi dan aspirasi kami adalah untuk dia menjadi guru yang memberi manfaat kepada orang lain. Okey, sekian. Back to you, Dr. Hamidah.
That is just so beautiful, Dr. Zaidah. Saya memang tersentuh betul dengar. Wonderful. Cik Muzamil, apa tips yang Cik Muzamil boleh berikan kepada audience kita untuk more on curating their learning experience in new norms with UROX. Silakan Cik Muzammil.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hamidah. I would like to share you a little bit of the discussion that I had with the CEO of Unirazak recently. You know, like we had the discussions of like, sekarang ni tengah pandemic. So we are actually in the full use, you know, like UROC is like, something that you must have. It's no longer just a simply gadget like apps. You must have that on your apps or on your phone. And the classes has already been, moved from conventional to the digital because of the platform that we are using right now. So it came to the question that what's going to happen after the pandemic is all gone. So are we going to go back into the conventional classes? Sekarang ni kalau pergi dekat Unirazak dekat tingkat 5, 6, 7, 8 tu, the classes tu saya rasa dah macam bersawang kot, because we cannot conduct classes there. So everything is all like now online and so on. So he was actually just saying the simple things, you know, like he was sharing with me and says that, you know what, this technology is here to stay. So whatever things that is going to happen later on, we are not going to take even a single step back, you know, like to whatever thing that it was before. And we are going to take it from there and we are going to go further. So don't be surprised lepas daripada ni nanti dengan UROC and also with the Google Meet and also with the initiative that we have done, alright, classes dekat Unirazak in the future ni dah akan jadi macam interactive TV. You know, sekarang ni pun dah nampak macam interactive TV. You see, you ada macam animation and all that, alright. Thanks to my team, they are actually the one, utamanya Amir, that betul-betul lama saya buat, you know, like the whole animation and everything. It looks like you are watching macam rancangan TV, and then after like a talk show or something. So don't be surprised in the near future, all of your classes in the classroom are going to be converted into such a way. So macam tengok Netflix, or it's like an interactive TV. And the best part is anda boleh jadi penonton di rumah yang boleh tanya soalan and everything. So it became like also live. Yang sekarang ni bukan dekat TV3 atau Astro je yang buat, kita dekat Unirazak pun dah boleh buat that sort of thing. Betul tak Dr. Zaidah? I think you will be so interested to do this sort of things, you know, like nampak macam pembaca berita TV dah, macam rancangan Nona dah, betul tak? So don't be surprised in the future. This is all what academic or, you know, like education is all going to be like. Yes, we're not saying no to the conventional classes. Classes is still going to be going on as usual, tapi we have a leisure of having another platform as it is right now, okay? Then it built up like so many professions, like the people or the educator, cikgu semua, alright, pendidik semua, kena ada another digital literacy yang bukan sahaja boleh menulis, membaca, mengira, buat Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint and all that, tapi dia semua kena ada lagi, kena tingkatkan lagi dengan all these like online technologies. That I can tell you one thing, is here to stay and it will just move you along, you know, like in the near future. InsyaAllah dekat Unirazak ni, we have a few big project coming up soon. Then it will involve anything that is even bigger than what we are doing right now. Saya tak boleh bagi teaser, so itu takat itu je. But then, you know, for the sake of our students, so what we do is we try to actually give the best for them. You know what I mean? So kemungkinan adalah nanti you will see that how actually we are going to make this so that we can boost up, you know, like knowledge ataupun ilmu yang baik ni tak baik kalau kita simpan-simpan, kita kena panjang kepada semua orang. So that is actually the idea of like what we are trying to bring over and reach out to students kebanyakannya. Alright, so tadi saya ada letakkan dekat komen ataupun minta Puan Olia letakkan dekat komen dekat situ, is actually our UROC punya channel. So kalau you know, pada student pelajar Unirazak, kalau nak tahu macam mana nak tulis assignment, macam mana nak gunakan conduct UROCs and everything, is all there. Okay, so yes, I think that's all from me. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Hamidah, for inviting me here. So back to you.
Okay, terima kasih Encik Muzammil. It's so true ya. So maknanya kita dah kena move, whether we like it or not, we have to already embrace this new revolution, that is not just revolution, evolution in the way that we are going to be teaching and also the way students are learning, whether we like it or not. So because of that, cikgu-cikgu pun dah kena upskill, bukan students saja upskill and reskill, cikgu-cikgu pun kena upskill dan reskill, so that they have that what Encik Muzammil mentioned, digital literacy. So this is part of this new age, whether or not it's because of pandemic, it's triggered by pandemic, but I think this is one of the good things that come out of this lah, the hikmah from this pandemic is that it has forced us to actually suka ke tak suka kena juga guna online platform, and then from there we can see how it has enriched our experience as a student and also as educators. Mr. Sean, your bit, Mr. Sean, the last part, your tips, on how audience kita ni boleh gunakan learning curation ni in their learning experience, under the new norm. Silakan.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hamidah. Alright, I just want to add sikit je lagi berdasarkan pengalaman saya belajar di Uni Razak. Okay, apa yang saya nampak adalah kita bercakap berkenaan dengan Industrial Revolution. Kita baru nak memulakan Industrial Revolution, but the pandemic dah bawa kita kepada that kind of revolution. So nak tak nak, my tips is we have to be consistent in this journey. Nak tak nak kita kena consistent reskilling, kita consistent upskilling, kita kena consistent revisit our practice. And nak tak nak juga we have to be competitive. Okay, macam contohnya before this mungkin the collaborative work is not done properly. Now it is the time for us to collaborate effectively. And the next is kita kena fikirkan the future skills yang patut ada as a students. So I encourage all of my juniors ataupun my seniors ataupun kawan-kawan saya yang ada kat dalam ni, yang menonton, pelajar-pelajar, bakal-bakal pelajar di Uni Razak, come and explore UROX. You boleh tengok how wonderful the journey, walaupun kita rasa macam belajar online tu tak best. Yes, memang dia jadi tak best bila kita hanya menunggu two ways communication ataupun one ways communication daripada our lecturer. But if you keep on exploring the journey of e-learning itu, kita curate that learning processes, itu yang akan jadikan your learning journey itu akan jadi lebih menarik dan lebih menyeronokkan. So try to revisit, try to upskill, try to reskilling and be competitive and consistent in your journey. So saya cuma nak tambah lagi sikit, kalau saya boleh share, Dr. Hamidah, we are in the process of developing the postgraduate students of Master in Early Childhood Education. Kita tengah dalam proses untuk develop community virtual kit for awareness on early childhood education. So this virtual kit adalah satu benda yang baru. Mungkin kalau sebelum ni kita hanya tunggu buku physical books keluar dan sebagainya kan. So this virtual kit akan ada online videos, akan ada online portfolios, akan ada online sharing. So next week we're going to start with the round table session. Lepas tu kita akan start dengan breakout room session, and then kita akan ada expert sharing. Lepas tu the development of our virtual community kit, and we call it as Hello Community, and it is a collaborative work among between School of Education and juga the people in industry. So I would thank UROX for having us, sebab UROX yang teach us benda-benda ni. So because of the UROX, kita ada ideas to develop our virtual kit for the community. It is not just for the parents, for the children, but we are more focusing on the community work. So it is a collaborative work. So over to you, Dr. Hamidah. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Dr. Zaida. Thank you, Mr. Muzammil. All right.
Okay, Mr. Sean, that is so interesting what you have just shared regarding this Hello project ni. Dr. Zaida, kita kena feature ni dalam kita punya channel lepas ni to share to the world what they have come up with. Very, very interesting. Thank you, Mr. Sean. Very good tips for your fellow coursemates and your juniors, ya. Sangat bagus tips tu. So kita dah sampai di penghujung rancangan. Izinkan saya conclude a little bit. just want to say that from this discussion, I think what we can learn from this perbincangan kita is sebenarnya no matter how advanced the platform and technology that we have, sebenarnya both teachers and learners need to first really use them. Gunakan dengan sebaik mungkin, optimize them and explore how this online platform ni dapat membantu kita untuk not just improve the quality of teaching and learning, but also to bring us to a new level to reach the goal of education itself, which is macam Dr. Zaidah cakap, menitiskan makna kan dalam diri, meaningful learning, the altruistic value of education. Okay, so that is all. Terima kasih semua penonton yang setia bersama kita, pelajar-pelajar UniRazak dan juga tetamu-tetamu dari luar sana. Thank you very much kerana memeriahkan kita punya rancangan hari ini, dan juga special thanks to Dr. Zaidah, to Encik Muzammil dan Mr. Sean for your awesome sharing. I'm sure everybody who have joined this program today have really benefited from this discussion. So student UniRazak, jangan lupa ambil apa nasihat yang Mr. Sean berikan. Tolong go and explore explore UROX, explore UROX, okay, and see where it will take you. Hopefully to the best of education that UniRazak can offer you. Okay, thank you very much. We wish you a good evening until we see you again in another session of Kasih Talk. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. Good evening. Bye-bye.